Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make this water lily beaded Kumihimo bracelet, and this is what it looks like. So you have these little water lilies all the way around, but it's just on the one side is the outside of the bracelet here. So the inside is kind of nice and flat, so it's going to be nice and comfortable to wear. And then I just finished it off with my findings, and it looks a bit like that. Obviously you can choose whatever colour combinations that you want to for yours. I've just used these ones here. Now also, what I just want to mention is this length, the length of this bracelet is roughly about 7.5 inches. So that's the average length. Obviously that will depend on what kind of clasp you add as well, because different clasps have different sizes. But then this is it. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching. So then here are the materials that we're going to need. Now first of all, here I have the round Kumihimo disc because we are making a round braid. And then I have my selection of beads as well. Now first of all, these two colours here are both 6/0 seed beads. The first one is a yellow and then a blue. The blue one is going to be the background really. And then here I have these three are all long magatamas. I have green ones and then white ones and then red ones. Obviously you can choose whatever colour combinations you want for yours. Then I have my thread. So I'm going to be using a 0.4mm S-long cord. It's going to be really nice and strong, and I'm just using a black one to be a nice neutral background colour. Then we have the findings. I've got my Kumihimo ends to finish off the bracelet at the end, and then my clasp, extender chain and jump rings. So let's get it all together and let's get started. And then the lengths of cord that we're going to need is 4 lengths here of our S-long of about 1 meter each. And then what I'm going to do is make sure all the ends are put together like that. And then put the ends together again to fold them over in half to find roughly where the middle is, and then I put a regular overhand knot to keep them together but also to symbolise that's the middle. And then I've just attached a scrap piece of wire here, and I'm going to use this to put it down through my Kumihimo disc. So then taking all my lengths of cord here and attach them onto my disc, and I put that knot with the wire down through the hole in the centre of the disc there, coming out of the back. And then I've just used the dots on the disc for reference. I'm not using the numbers at all. So I'm just going to put 1 length of cord on each side of every dot all the way around like that. And then now the first thing I'm going to do is start making a braid and make a little section of braid here with just the cord before I start adding in any beads at all, because we need that to just finish it off at the end, to have something to be able to finish it off with the findings. So what I'm going to do is take my top left cord here and then bring that over the middle, down. Stay on the left side of that bottom pair. Then I'm going to take the bottom right one, again over the middle towards the top, and stay on the right side of the top. Then I'm going to turn my disc a quarter to the next pair here. Then I'm going to take my top left one again, bring that down, stay on the left side. Then I'm going to take the bottom right one, bring that up and stay on the right side, and then turn my disc another quarter for the next pair. And then you just want to continue like this. So take the top left one again, and I want to do this till I have about 1 to 2 centimeters of braid. So now that I've then made my little section of braid here, and it's going to be coming out of the back, you can start to see it, then it's now time to start adding in the beads. So this is then how you want to add all the beads to your lengths of cord here. Now what I'm going to do is take a picture of this setup, and then I'm going to put that on my website. So if you want to have a better look at it than just in this video, you can have a look on the website, add that picture, that might be helpful. I'm going to put a link to that down in the description box below. So I'm going to have both the picture, but then I'm also going to have written out the actual instructions and the actual setup of the beads as well. So it's probably easy to go on there and have a more detailed look at the bead setup. One thing I just want to mention is regarding the long magatamas, because we have the two colours here, just in my case the ones that I'm using, for the flower itself, and that's the white and the red ones, and then I have the colour, that's the green one, of the long magatamas, that's for the kind of the leaves of the flowers. So what you just want to make sure of is the kind of face in opposite directions, because the actual magatama itself, the hole is kind of drilled at an angle. So you'll find when you add it onto a thread or whatever you're using it on, that you kind of have a point to your bead. So depending what direction you add the bead onto it, then it will either point in one direction or the other one. And in this case, the leaf one, so in this case the green beads that I'm using, the point of the bead is kind of pointing towards the disc. Now then the flower colours, so in my case the white and the red ones, you can obviously use whatever you want to, the point of those are pointing away from the disc. So just bear that in mind when you're adding the long magatamas, because that's how we're going to achieve the look of the pattern that we want on the braid. And what I also just want to mention is regarding the way you work with your braid. So I naturally take the top left cord that I start with, bring that down, and then I take the bottom right one and then I bring that up. So that's just the way that I work with it. Some people start with the top right one or start with the bottom ones. So the way that I'll set up the beads here, that will fit if you start with either the top left one or the bottom right one, because starting with either of those two are the same thing, you'll get the same result. But if you start with the top right one or the bottom left one, you'll need to set up the beads just a little bit differently. And what you'll need to do is set up the beads basically in the mirror image to this. So imagine that you have a mirror in front of your disc and then use that mirror image to set up the beads. So that means that the top two cords here, not the cords themselves obviously, but just the positioning of the beads, they'll swap with each other. So just swap over that dot there. The bottom two are also going to swap with each other, again the positioning of the beads. Now then the side ones here, the top one on each side is going to swap over the middle with each other, and then the bottom one on each side is also going to swap over the middle with each other. So that's going to end up being the mirror image. Again, it's just the positioning of the beads themselves. So like I said, if you start with the top right one or the bottom left, you want to set it up in that mirror image to achieve the same effect. But then once you have all your beads in place here on your cords in the way that you work with them, then we need to start adding them into the braid. So the way that we're going to do that is just basically continue making the braid like we were doing, but then every time we bring over a cord we're going to add in one bead. So like I said, I start with my top left one, and as I'm releasing the cord here from the disc, I'm then going to let the very first bead that I run into drop all the way down there, and then I'm going to drop it down in the middle, and then you want to make sure that it tucks in underneath the cords in the middle there, like that. And then as you bring this cord over, make sure the bead stays in place. So it might fall into place down there by itself, or you might have to tuck it in just using your finger. And just make sure to kind of keep an eye on it as you keep moving your cords. So these beads in the middle. Then I'm going to take my bottom right one, release the cord, and then let that first bead drop all the way down. Just make sure it tucks in underneath the cord in the middle. Bring the cord over to the other side, and then that's the first pair. Then we want to turn the disc a quarter to then go to the next pair and just basically do the same thing. So take the top left cord, in my case here, drop down the first bead as I'm releasing the cord, and then make sure it tucks in the middle. And then the further you get, when you get around to the next layer, that will then kind of seal and lock the previous beads in place, so you don't have to keep an eye on the ones further down the braid when you get further on. Just kind of the ones that you're just using there and then to make sure they don't pop out as well while you move them. So take the other one, pop down one bead, and then you just want to keep going like this. So you can see it's the exact same braid as when we're just using the cord. We're just adding in one bead at a time whenever we're moving one cord across the disc. So keep doing this all the way until you used up all the beads. So now that I've used up all my beads here and all my lengths of cord, then what we need to do is just do the other end of the braid as well. So just like the beginning where I made this little section of braid before starting to add in the beads, I'm going to do the same thing here. So all you want to do is continue with your braid, so the next pair that you're due to take, and then just obviously stop adding in beads. And then you'll find that your cords will naturally singe in here at the end and become the braid just with the cord. So again, do this for about 1 to 2 centimeters, same as the other end, and then I'll show you what we do next. Then once I reach this point, I have that little section of braid. What I now want to do is just secure the end of the braid in place here, so I can take it off the disc without worrying about the very braid itself coming undone. So what I'm going to do is, the last pair that I just used was this one, so I'm going to just take 2 cords that are diagonally opposite each other out of the pair that I was due to take next if I was going to continue. So these 2 are here, I'm going to bring them across the middle, tie a regular knot, and then just tighten this all the way down right at the end of the braid. Then I'm going to take the 2 other cords from the same pair that are diagonally opposite each other, tie a knot across the middle, and then tighten this right down at the end of the braid. So just like that, I'm going to move on to the other pair, do the exact same thing. So take 1 cord from each side at a time that are diagonally opposite each other, tie your knot nice and tight there, and the very last one, tie your knot there, then right at the end of the braid, just like that. So now I can take it off my disc here without worrying about it coming undone. So obviously you want to not move it around too much, because the knots can still come undone if you keep messing with it too much, but then you have your braid like this. So I now finished off the ends here of the braid, and then also attached my clasp with my extender chain. So this is what it looks like. So like I said, you have this nice kind of flat back to it, so it's still going to be comfortable to wear, but then you have the embellishment and the actual pattern here in the front. And then it's just a matter of obviously using your clasp, and then it's ready to wear. So this is what it looks like. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beaded Kumihimo bracelet, and what you have is little hedgehogs or porcupines, whatever you want it to be, going all the way around, looking like this. So, and the inside of your bracelet, you can have the underbellies, so it's also nice and comfortable to wear. And then you have your hedgehogs or porcupines up here, depending what you want it to be. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching.